I'm back. You're going to watch me machine this today. It's a reversing screw from a Stania Black 5 locomotive. It goes in the cab with a handle on here, and you wind. There's a nut goes on here which we'll also be making, and that links to the valve linkage and then controls the valve openings, which also controls the direction of the locomotive. But yeah, there's a 2-start thread on here, left hand, so you'll see us cutting all that and obviously roughing it out. Thread at this end, taper here, so just some simple turning really, but hopefully it'll be enjoyable. And it's not, well, it didn't totally go without hiccup, so, but you'll see it, warts and all, you know, I'll be honest. But yeah, hopefully it's still enjoyable. So yeah, show you how I made it. So this is what we're going to start with. It's just 85mm diameter EN8 bright round steel. So yeah, it's going to be pretty traditional, just turning work on the lathe, but hopefully it'll be enjoyable. And then I've got a new nut to make afterwards as well. We'll do that as a separate video, but there's an old one, so take some dimension off it. I've got some flame cut plates to do that. That was supplied by the customer. Horrible material to machine, but we'll work with what we've got. So yeah, that'll be a future one. But anyway, we'll get this in the lathe and centered up and get chomping some material out. And given that it's 85mm stock, I can't get it down the spindle of the DSG, so I've got to face it and centre drill it with fixed steady instead. There we are, I can start roughing out now, trying to work out what size cuts I can get away with. Now I could only really get away with 2.5mm a side because of the vibration. And you can see here that I actually ended up using a dead centre rather than a revolving centre in the tailstock because it massively reduced the vibration. So I've got one side roughed out. I'm going to chuck it back into the Butler lathe, the one I used on the previous video, because the through spindle diameter on that is quite large, so I can get this section of the shaft through spindle to rough out this this end. The vibration was a bit of a problem getting this done on the DSG. The machine was more than strong enough to do it. The inserts were more than good enough. I was getting vibration, so we'll rough out the other side on the Butler, can take some nice heavy cuts and get that cleaned up, and then we'll start getting towards looking at getting the sizes and the rough dimensions and the shape of it. I have got this quick sketch that I did. I've actually had to reverse engineer this from a screw that I had a few weeks ago, where I had to clean the thread up and make a new nut to suit. This is going to be a spare one, so I had to measure the other one up and do a drawing from that to work to, so that's what I've got to work to. But yeah, we'll get it in the Butler and he'll rough that other side out and get it something like, looking like the drawing. Yeah, roughing it out in the Butler, you can see I am using the patented Coolmaster 5000 pop bottle with a hole in the lid. I haven't sorted out the coolant yet on that machine. And here using a ground up form tool to get the radius, it's 1/4 inch radius in this corner against this shoulder. So plenty of polishing and plenty more to go. These shots really do show up all the scratches. But here you go, just checking the 1/4 inch radius. That corner, I'm happy with that. A bit more polishing to go, but I'm happy with that. I've cut this taper now on the shaft. It's 3/4 inch per foot on diameter is the taper. So I've got the tape turning attachment set up. I'm going to try and set it now to get it. So I use a DTI on the tool post, measure how much the tool post comes out. Of course, it's 3/4 inch per 12 inch on diameter, so that'll be 3/8 per side. So you'd see 3/8 on the tool post for every 12 inches you move along the bed. Obviously I can't move 12 inches, but when I set these, the greater distance you can measure over, the more accurate you're going to get it. Setting it with the tool post will get us the first sort of stage of setting it. Because we've got the tailstock in, there might be an error because of the tailstock when we actually take a test cut, but we can fine tune it by measuring on here once we've taken a couple of test cuts. So yeah, let's give it a wind backwards and forwards and see where we get to. So we're looking at about 32nd for every inch at the moment. So 32nd, which is actually bang on. So actually after a test cut and the measure, which you can see I'm doing here, it was actually within a couple of thou, so it took very little adjusting to get to the figures I was after. Final polish obviously afterwards. Now this tapered surface does have a keyway afterwards, but I've left that for the customer to do when they use the screw. Now here we go, setting the screw cut in for the 6 TPI. It's a 1.5 inch by 6 TPI Whitworth form. Surprise, surprise. I'm showing you, just setting the levers to get that. It's a great machine this for screw cutting. I can do imperial and metric, module, all sorts on the gearbox without having to mess around with the change gears. So again, I'm using, as on the last videos, using full form cutting inserts. Got my compound set at half the thread angle again, Whitworth thread, 55 degrees included, so 27.5 on the compound, and feeding in with that just to reduce the cutting load. Again, chamfer the end of the thread with the tool, final check, final cut. I say it's 1.5 inches this, so we're aiming for 1.5 on the major diameter. Just have one more little measure. And there we are, 1.5 inches. I've turned this round, clock up into 4 jaw now. You can see you've got the copper soft jaws in. And rough out the bearing journal at the other end. And now we're turning the middle section down to the size for the 2 start thread. It's 2 inch OD. So, and there it is, turned down, ready to start threading. So I've ground a tool up on the pedestal grinder to do this Acme thread. And it's a 2 start thread, so I suppose I better talk about double start threads and multi-pitch threads. And a single start thread, the pitch and the lead are the same. The pitch being the distance between the crests, and the lead being how much the thread sort of moves for one revolution. If you know, and the relationship is that the pitch is the lead divided by the number of starts in the thread. So for a single start thread, pitch and the lead are the same. This one on the left here is a 2 start, which is like what we're going to be doing. This one's a 5 start. Now these two are actually the same lead. They're both 3/4 inch lead. This one has 2 starts. So the pitch is 3/4 divided by 2, which is 3/8. So it's 0.375 of an inch pitch. This one's 5 start. So it's 3/4 lead divided by 5, 150 thou pitch between. But they're the same in terms of how fast they are. When we say how fast a thread is how much travel you get for every revolution. So these both will give 3/4 inch for every revolution. And I do a lot of these. I make nuts for these. They're out of old steering boxes. So you see this one's marked with a notch. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 starts there. Well, the one we're cutting is inch lead, 2 starts. So it's 1/2 inch pitch. So we're going to have 1/2 inch between them This is the tool I'm going to be using. So we'll go set the machine up. And I should probably say some of the considerations given for using multi-start threads. As I say, they do give a lot more movement for a given input. So for a given revolution, a two-start thread of the same pitch as a single start will give twice as much travel. Now you might want to increase contact area of the thread. This one, of course, will give a lot more contact area in the thread than that one. You may also want to reduce the thread height to maintain the same contact area as a single start thread. That might be another consideration. So there's loads of options and reasons why they're chosen. So looking at the screw cutting chart on the end of the lathe, screw pitches in inches is what we want. We want 1 inch lead. So we want EA number 1 coarse thread. EA1 coarse thread. So I'll set this to A. Set this to E. Inches pitch. And this one, inch pitch. Left. This one here, coarse. Now this one here, look, says at this position, left hand coarse, right hand normal. Now we are actually doing a left hand thread, and it's a coarse thread, so that needs to stay there. I need to select this one to 1. The machine isn't on, so it might not. No, I'm going to go. Come on, last bit. There we are. So, A1, EA1, which is what I wanted. Inches pitch. Inches pitch. We're all set up, ready to start cutting the threads. Got my compound set at half the angle, as usual, which is 29 degrees included on this. So it's 14.5 degrees. And there's my tool. Now I was starting experimenting with what cutting oils or coolants to use. You can see here I was using a bit of neat cutting oil. It was getting very smoky. I eventually settled for the coolant from the machine, which did a nice job. This took quite a while. I started off with maybe 5 or 10 thou side cuts, but as soon as I started getting any sort of thread form, I was going down to 2 or 3 thou side. Right, mild disaster. It was cutting nicely. Plenty to go, but it's cutting all right, really. Then all of a sudden, the tool dug in, and the job actually spun in the chuck. Thankfully, I got my copper pads in there, so there's no damage. But I'll spin it round for you. There we go. It stopped spinning. The tool jumped across, and then left this mark. Very annoying. Only myself to blame. And some of you may have spotted what the reason was. I set my compound to 14.5 degrees that way, forgetting that I was doing a left-hand thread. So when I'm winding in now, all the cutting is being done on this right-hand side and on the front of the tool. So the lead screw is pushing it against that right-hand flank, and I should have had it set that way for that reason. I had it set the other way, so the cutting was being done on the left-hand side. Anyway, I've set it up properly now, and I've done several more cuts since it happened, and it's going all right. So yeah, we'll keep going, and hopefully I can rescue it. The major diameter, which I'll have these bits of damage on, is clearance on these threads anyway, so it shouldn't be an issue. But it doesn't stop me being annoyed at myself. But hey ho, these things happen. Man who's made no mistake hasn't made anything. So anyway, let's go. Let's keep going. First thread is all done, so I'm happy with that. Obviously, other than the damage on the crest. Now, with this being a 4 TPI lead screw, I've been dropping in on the whole numbers. And then to do the other one, I can drop in on the half lines, and it'll drop into my other thread. So that works out quite nice on this one. The other way I could do it is when I do other ones with funny pictures, is to put the compound parallel to the bed of the machine and then offset it like that, and use the same numbers on the dial, or keep it the half nut engaged all the time. That's the other method. But yeah, for this one, I can drop in on the halves down and get the other one done. Now on these clips, the second thread looks offset compared to the first. It's a bit of an illusion because I'm feeding my tool in with the compound, which is at half the thread angle. The cut starts slightly towards the left of the frame, and then as you wind in and get towards full depth, it ends up perfectly in line, as it should do. As you can see here, we're getting nearly full depth on the second thread. It looks a lot more central now and evenly spaced. And there we are, both threads to full depth. Just need a polish to finish. So there we are. I'm happy with it overall, even with the mistake. Rest assured, I will be beating myself up about it for a while yet, but hopefully I'll have forgotten about it by the time we make the nut. So that'll hopefully be the next video. We'll make that nut, and I'll see you then.